Thank you for checking out this video. I know it's been a pretty long time, decent hiatus since I uploaded some F1 content to this channel, but I'm back. Today, we're going to do it again. Today's video, I'll be giving you my predictions to this year's 2025 Formula One season. We've got an exciting lineup to discuss here today. With a couple newcomers onto the grid, we got a couple people switching teams in the off season, and of course, some people switching to certain teams that we already knew about. And then we can find out who my number one pick is going to be. Will it be Max, and can he get his 5th world title? Or will it be somebody else? Hint, hint. So, stay tuned as I give a rundown and speculate on this year's driver standings. Let's get it started. So, at the end of last year, we ended with 24 total drivers throughout the season. Now, new season, we're back to 20. We got 3 new drivers joining the grid this year. We got 3 rookies. We got Isaac Hadjar, Gabriele Bortoleto, and Kimi Antonelli. Isaac's going to be joining the Racing Bulls. Gabriele Bortoleto's in Sauber, and Kimi Antonelli is taking over Lewis's spot at Mercedes. Then we got team changes. A couple of drivers have switched teams. We all know the first one that I'm going to bring up. It's the most hyped drivers signing, I think, since Schumacher to Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton's now at Ferrari. He's part of the Tifosi. He's at Maranello. He's at HQ. We'll see how him and Chuck Leclerc.
And now Chuck Leclerc,
duke it out this coming season. Then, speaking of Ferrari, we have Carlos Sainz jumping over to the Williams team. Him and Alex Albon will be teammates this year, and that's going to be very interesting to see, I believe. Then, of course, we have Esteban Ocon heading over to Haas with Ali Behrman. We got Nico Hülkenberg jumping into the Sauber seat with Gabriele Bortoleto. Of course, some of the more controversial switch is Liam Lawson going up to Red Bull, taking over Sergio Perez's seat from last year. Some people do think that seat should be Yuki Tsunoda's, but due to the whole Honda sponsorship in Yuki, they had to keep him down in the Racing Bulls. This isn't that video where I'm going to go in a whole lot on that specific topic, but I do think that maybe Yuki should have got in that seat before Liam and kept Liam down at Racing Bulls, but I digress. We got new drivers, we got team changes. Let's get to the countdown. Let's get to my predictions. 20 drivers. We're going to start from the bottom, going up to 1. So, at number 20, we have Gabriele Bortoleto. Rookie, first season in F1. He's in the Sauber. Let's see how he does. I have a lot of hope for him. I think he can do real well, but until 2026, when we have these new carb regulations, Sauber last year didn't do very well on track, stayed toward the bottom of the standing, so I got Gabriele down at 20. Moving on to number 19. Number 19, I have Isaac Hadjar in the Racing Bulls. Another newcomer to F1, probably does have skills to do very well in Formula One, but it's a very competitive drivers lineup right now, so we'll see how he fares on track. At number 18, I don't know if this is a surprise. At number 18, I got Nico Hülkenberg. Same thing for Nico as Gabriele Bortoleto. Sauber's car just won't improve too much. They'll have their little upgrades that they'll bring to some races throughout the season, but not until 2026 do I think we'll see big leaps and bounds from that car. So Nico Hülkenberg at 18. Number 17, we got Jack Doohan and the Alpine. I'm going to just reiterate, I guess, what I've seen most people for Formula One talk about with this Jack Doohan is he needs to make noise right out of the gate. He needs to start strong, really compete with Pierre, or even finish above Pierre in these first few races. I mean, if he could come out above Pierre in the first race in Australia, that would be very huge, because Franco Colapinto is their reserve driver. They got him waiting in the wings to just step right up and take Jack Doohan's spot if he starts to slip way below Pierre. Jack Doohan, 17, got to come out firing. Number 16, I got Ollie Behrman in the Haas. Had a couple races last year. Got to see him 3 times. Once in the Ferrari, finished 7th. That was really nice. He seems to have good concentration and looks good behind the wheel. Seems like a good driver. We'll see how he fares this year in the Haas, teaming up with Esteban. Maybe he can learn some things from Esteban, but I know F1 teammates now are more competitive against each other than anything else, but I feel like Ollie isn't going to surprise us all this year in the Haas car, so I have him down there at 16th. Number 15, I have Alex Albon in the Williams. Alex just needs fewer crashes in that car this year. I mean, I know most of them last year were due to Franco or Logan, but yeah, just fewer crashes, and he's got to get used to fighting a better driver as a teammate now. Now that he's got Carlos as his teammate on track, action is going to be a lot more difficult to get around his teammates or even competing against Carlos in qualifying and everything else. It's going to be a lot for, not a lot, but it's going to be something that Alex is going to have to take on, and let's see if he's going to be able to do that throughout the season. And hopefully he can prove me wrong, but drivers in the cars better than the Williams. I think 15's pretty reasonable for Alex. Number 14, I got Carlos Sainz in the Williams, right above Alex. I think Carlos might just be that little bit of a better driver than Alex. But he's not going to be where he is in the Ferrari. I mean, we all know that with Williams car performance. They do have good straight line speed, as we saw last year. But it's the same thing until we see the 2026 regulations and the new cars come in. They're not going to make jumps into the top teams of contenders. Carlos Sainz definitely better than Logan and Franco behind that car. So Carlos Sainz, number 14. Let's just start. I'm going to start rolling through these next couple. Number 13, I got Esteban Ocon in the Haas. I feel like he's going to do decently well. Might be able to surprise me and get a few more spots up. Number 12, Lance Stroll. Go find a new sport. I hear you like tennis. Please try that out. Number 11, Yuki Tsunoda. Feel kind of bad that he wasn't able to get that Red Bull spot and Liam got it from him, but Yuki Tsunoda, number 11. Now we get into the top 10. The top 10 of 2025. And number 10, I have Liam Lawson. I know some of you might think that he should be outside of the top 10, but he's in a Red Bull car. Sergio Perez last year did everything he can to mess it up, and he still finished 8th in the driver's standings. I don't think Liam Lawson is a terrible driver, and he did have races last year. He was able to get used to being in those F1 cars. It's going to be very fun to see him and Max fight on track because Liam is a contender. He's a competitive guy. So, I mean, all of them are competitive, but Liam's going to have a hard head and really want to fight to get points and try and win some races in that Red Bull car. So, Liam Lawson, number 10. Number 9, I have Pierre Gasly in the Alpine. Let's see what he can do there for this year. Number 8, Kimi Antonelli, the new rookie in the Mercedes. Him and George Russell in that car. We'll see what he can do, but I have some very good feelings about Kimi Antonelli and what he's going to be able to pull out in his first season. So 8 for Kimi. In 7th place, I got Fernando Alonso. We'll see what he can do. I hope he can stay in that top 10 with that Aston Martin. I mean, he had a nice little spurt of good races in the beginning of last season, and then they just dropped straight off the charts. So hopefully he can get it back this year. In 6th place, George Russell in the Mercedes. Lewis is gone. He's the top dog of Mercedes now. Let's see him bring it home. Maybe he can crack the top 5, but like I said, there's so many good drivers in this lineup this year that it's going to be hard. Top 5's hard. speaking of top 5, we're going on to my top 5. Number 5, Chuck Leclerc. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. Got a new teammate in Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion. It's a lot to take on for a new teammate, I'm sure. Let's see how he fares with that. I think he just needs to keep fixing those little mistakes, especially in Ferrari's whole strategy. I'm sure that's not just a Charles singular thing. It's a Ferrari strategy as a whole thing. Charles Leclerc, 5th. In 4th, I have Oscar Piastri. The Australian. Oscar with McLaren, him and Lando. Oscar finishing 4th. I like him. I like Oscar. He might be my favorite driver. I'm sure if you noticed who my favorite team is. I just like him on track. He's got to keep that fighting on track, make those right decisions at the right moment, and I think he can do very well. He might even jump up a few positions if he can secure those things. I feel like there's going to be more race wins he's winning this year in that McLaren. They have the car they need. If they can continue with the little upgrades throughout the season, not major changes unless it's good for the car, but I don't think major changes are needed. The little things work. Focus on the little things, and I think McLaren and Oscar will have a good year this year. Top 3, number 3, Lewis Hamilton is finishing 3rd this year. He's in Ferrari now. Lewis is in red. He's at Tifosi. Where did he finish last year? 7th. So I got him moving up 4 spots from where I had him last year. This is what he always wanted. He's always wanted to drive for Ferrari. This is going to be a huge, huge year. I really can't wait for Australia, the first race in Australia, to see him suit up and get out there and just what he does in that car. The one thing I did notice, I was doing some research and I found out that he is going from a push rod suspension to a pull rod suspension, in that Mercedes car had a push rod setup and Ferraris changed from a push rod to a pull rod. So now they're running pull rod suspension on their car. And I just have here, I've heard that sort of a Danny Rick dilemma where Danny Rick at Red Bull, I believe Red Bull had push rods in their suspension when he was driving for them, and he was winning and it felt good, and it fit his driving style, that sort of suspension setup. And then whenever he did move on from Renault and then McLaren, those suspension setups were different from what he was used to at Red Bull. So I don't know if that's the main reason Danny Rick struggled in his twilight years of his Formula One career, but I'm not saying it could be Lewis. I mean, 7-time world champion. I'm sure he can figure it out, but going from a push rod to a pull rod suspension, it's a different setup. I'm sure he's going to have time in the car and sim to figure it out, but it is a big difference. We'll see how it fares. Hopefully it fares better because I have him 3rd. Should I go number 2 or number 1? Should I give number 1 and then you guys know number 2? Yeah, let's do that. 2025 Formula One's driver champion will be Lando Norris. Got it on my chest here. McLaren. Lando Norris will get his first driver championship this year. 2 things I have written down here that he needs to do. Get over his mental struggles. A lot last year. He talked about his mental struggles, and he's not mentally there after races. It all went in his head and everything. So as long as he can get over those mental struggles and those mental hurdles and really focus on what he needs to do to win and gain an advantage on the track or even in qualifying in the sprint race, he's got to get over those. The second thing I have is just make those right decisions at that right moment. Right away, think like a champion. I'm sure I've seen that clip of Frosty. I've seen that clip of Crofty going around talking about Max. Max thinks like a champion. That's why he's this, and this. But sort of right, and I gotta think that applies to Lando as well. He's gotta right away. He's gotta think he's a champ coming out the gates in Australia. He is the champion. Number 1, Lando Norris. And then so that just ends up Max Verstappen, second place. I have Max Verstappen at second because, number one, he has car balance struggles all through last year. If they can fix that with upgrades throughout the year this year, then we'll see if it does anything. Max is Max. We've all seen him drive on the track. No big changes in the cars this year. Balance might still get to him, and McLaren has been on their heels, especially with Lando. So Max Verstappen, number 2. So that's my list. I'll put a whole graphic or whatever so we can see it in all its glory. But that's my list. I just want to say thank you for sticking around. I'm very excited for this upcoming 2025 Formula One season. If you want, go ahead, like this video, subscribe, share it, do whatever you want. Yeah, that's about it. Watch out for more videos coming through this channel, especially F1 related. New season coming up. Starting to jot down some different video ideas to do. If you have any video ideas that you'd want to see on F1 racing or something in that niche, let me know down in the comments. Now we're just looking forward to the start of the season, testing, and Drive to Survive. Can't wait for Drive to Survive. That's fun to watch. All right. I think I'm done. I'll see you.